going to address the fact that majority of Zimbabweans' cultural practices, I can go as far as to say African cultural practices, stem from lack of education, lack of proper scientific research, and misogyny. One particular practice I want to reference is that practice whereby, I don't know if they still do it, I'm not sure, but whenever a daughter-in-law would be welcomed into the family, they would test her. If she was a virgin, they would do virginity testing on her. The way they would do this was they would give this couple a white sheet, they would put it on the bed, and after the couple had consummated their marriage, they would wake up in the morning and check if the sheets had blood. That is, the daughter-in-law was supposed to bleed to prove her innocence, to prove her purity, to prove her virginity. These practices actually show lack of proper research, lack of proper education, and misogyny. And they've been debunked numerous times by both who hold expertise in the medical fields, like the World Health Organization. They denounce that there is anything called virginity testing. You cannot test, you cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt the virginity of a woman through any form of medical virginity testing or cultural medical virginity testing practices. Statistical data actually show that only about 30 to 50% of women bleed during their first time, and it's not rare for women to not bleed. So stop telling these girls that they should bleed during their first time. These insane expectations come from people not understanding what a hymen is. A woman can actually be virgin, she has never had sex before, and she still doesn't bleed, because a hymen is just a thin fold of tissue at the entrance of the vagina. It already has an opening to allow for menstrual blood to pass through later. And it's not something that is imperforate, okay? It's just a thin tissue, a thin membrane on the opening of the vagina. The existence of that tissue has nothing to do with whether a woman bleeds during a first time or she doesn't. It's just a thin fold of tissue membrane. Stop telling girls that they're supposed to bleed during their first time. That stems from a place of ignorance. I think Africa as a whole, we are guilty of this. We are telling these young girls that they're supposed to bleed. Not all women are going to bleed. Majority, according to statistics, you can check it, majority of women do not bleed, but it does not mean they've had sex before. That's why I had to explain to you what a hymen is. A lot of you don't understand the hymen. Just because some of these practices have been prevalent prior, it does not mean they hold any truth to them. They stem from people not understanding biology, and it also stems from people trying to establish control over a woman's body. A woman's body is not a courtroom case for you to interrogate. Women have got their autonomy. They can do as they please with their own bodies. They can do what they want. And most importantly, bleeding during your first time is not the only indicator of virginity. Majority of women do not bleed because the hymen itself, it's not an imperforate tissue. It already has an opening. Society needs to change its narrative. Majority of women do not bleed during their first time.